Roll Tide.
Roll 'em, roll 'em, roll 'em.
Yeah, that's what they say in Alabama, you know.
I heard.
It's an Alabama thing. You got friends at the studio. They're from Alabama also.
Alabama and Georgia both.
It's that accent. Roll Tide.
Yeah.
I actually got an Alabama story when I was a truck driver, if you'd like to hear it.
Sure.
Are you serious?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Well, so now I was a young trucker. Now, I mean, I'm talking like my first...
Eons ago.
Yeah, my first year as a truck driver. And that's when you and I had met.
Mm-hmm.
And I was driving a Great Coastal. You remember Great Coastal?
I do.
Yeah. And so, it was my first time running all over the country because I had driven a year locally running New York only, if you remember.
Mm-hmm.
And I got my first load to Alabama. I can't remember if I was going to Birmingham or Montgomery. I think I was actually going to Montgomery. It was more in the middle of the state. And I remember getting down here, right? And, as a young trucker, you're on the CB. This is back when everybody was using CBs. And so I pull into the state. I'm like, breaker, hello, breaker, any taker. And, I'm just trying to get people to answer me. And I'm trying to figure out, why doesn't anybody want to talk to me on the CB? Wouldn't you want to talk to me?
Back then, I don't know.
Well, yeah. The reason I'm trying to be on the CB is because I'm trying to find this address.
Mm-hmm. That was before the GPS systems and stuff.
Correct. There was no GPSs back then. It was just, you get on the CB and you tried to find it, or you used your atlas. Okay. And you found it different ways. And so I'm on the CB trying to find this warehouse, and nobody would answer me at all in the damn CB. And finally, a voice came over. And I'm going to imitate the voice for a second. He goes, "Go home, Yankee." Yeah, exactly. "Go home, Yankee." And I was like, what? What? Did he just say "Go home, Yankee"? I mean... Dude,
you think you might have had an accent then?
I'm thinking, dude, if you were in Pennsylvania, I'd give you directions. He's like, "Go home, Yankee." I'm like, dude, you know what? He's still fighting the war or what down here? I mean, this isn't. He's, what I realized was, there's different accents. No matter where you go, if you go to Boston, right? You know the accent up there, right? Mm-hmm. How does it sound? Like if you're driving a truck and you go to Boston and you ask for directions, what do you think you hear?
Boston.
No, Baston.
Oh, that's
it's
right.
Baston.
It's
In Alabama, it's "How y'all doing?" Right? They got the accent going on. In Boston, it's Baston. "Pack your car down by the dooryard." In New York, you'd say it's New York. We're from New York.
It's just deeper.
Exactly. I mean, does everybody, like, I used to work at a trucking company in Indiana, and they would be, they would always, they'd say, "Hey, Troy, how you doing today? Hey, how you doing today?" I'd be like, do I really sound like that? I mean, so if you go down to Alabama, is what I'm getting at. If you go to Alabama, or you go to the Midwest out to Indiana, right? Or you go down to Texas, they all think everybody sounds the same up there. You know what I mean? They don't decipher Pennsylvanians from New Yorkers. Now, the Bostonians, you definitely can decipher their accent.
And the Vermont, to me.
Yeah, Vermont is different. They're all a little bit different. The deeper you go up into New England, the accent gets. They say, instead of river, they say river. It's just funny as a trucker, and I'm sure a lot of truckers have picked up on this over the years. You kind of get to know everybody's accent. So guess what I had to do?
Still find directions to get to this warehouse.
Right. But then I as I would come down to the South, right? Because I had that little squeaky, cocky New Yorker voice going on, which I'm, from Pennsylvania, but I guess to everybody else, I sound like I'm from New York. And I'd be like, yeah. I guess I sound like Joe Pesci. "Hey, it's Joe Pesci, man." But I'd be like, breaker 19, this is cold cracker. I used to call myself the cold cracker, and they'd be like, "What do you say? Cold what? Cold cracker?" I'd be like, "Yeah, they got the cold cracker." They'd be like, "Slow down, boy." And so I realized I sounded like a little punk on the CB. So when I would come down to the South, I would go like this. I go, yeah, anybody got their ears on? I literally would do that. I would make my voice a little more deeper, and I put a little slang into it. And then guess what? Everybody would answer me. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. But if I said to them, breaker, breaker, hello, breaker, breaker, you've got the cold cracker here. They'd go, cricket, nothing. I mean, they wouldn't answer me. I mean, serious. So I would always have to make a person up. I would be making people up on the damn CB to get somebody to give me a freaking.
He finally admits he's got multiple personalities.
I would though. I'm serious. Like if I wanted a bear report, by the way, for all you guys that don't have a CB, a bear report is I want to know where the cops are, checking on everybody, and you'd want to know what the way station is, and so you'd be like, I'd be like, yeah, hey, can anybody give me a report back that way? Nobody would answer me. I'd be like, oh, that's right. Let me go into my act here. Hey, eastbound, you got your ears on, right? And then they'd be like, yeah, come on, westbound. I'd be like, hey, how's it look back that way? And they go, well, you got one at the 44 and one at the 144, and then they're checking the ground pressure there at the weigh scale. I'd be like, oh, righty, I appreciate that. You got one back there looking at you on the ramp there, blah, 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 And I would actually have to go in. So I actually had to have more than one person in the cab with me.
He's not talking about me.
No. That was the only, listen, that was the only.
I just said myself with the mic.
That was the only way I was going to get a response on the CB in the South. I'm just saying, And then, I kind of still had to have the scruffy voice going on back then because nobody wanted to answer me, So that was that. I mean, hey, listen, I'm just fessing up here, So anyways, write us in. Let us know if you have a good CB voice. Let us know if you have the lingo, and that's another thing. You need to know the lingo.
Are you using the CB?
Yeah, are you using your CB? I would like to know because we've been hearing people write into us all the time, Ruth Ann, that the light's changing. People write into us all the time, and they say, "Hey, listen, because of you guys, we went ahead and we got a new CB."
My cord was doing it.
Yeah, that's okay.
It was weird.
Yeah. No worries.
How about some sponsors?
Well, how about we move on and we talk about sponsors? Oops. Okay, so national carriers, Ruth Ann?
National carriers.
Got about 400 trucks out of Dallas, all Kenworth T680s. They're looking for drivers for regional, for over the road, and for lease purchase and for company. And their number is 888-311-7076. Call them today if you're looking really seriously for a good, consistent job. Mm-hmm. It's a company that is owned by their own freight, zero broker loads. Again, number 888-311-7076. We also have Carter Lumber. Mm-hmm. Carter Lumber is a company that has over 160 locations east of the Mississippi. Give them a call today, or go online rather, to www.carterlumber.com/TalkCDL. It's a 3-second little thing you fill out, and then they'll contact you. Everything they're doing is local, home every day, Class A, Class B. And if you're a student, if you're just getting out of school and you don't want to go over the road, you can call Carter Lumber also. And if you don't have a CDL, they have positions that are non-CDL driving.
Correct.
Check them out today. And then last but not least, of course, our friends over there at DriveWise. That's DRIVEWYZE. Again, at the truck show, we talked to 1 million solo owner-operators that have their own authority. And they were amazed to know that you can go on DriveWise, download the app, and start bypassing the scales. And they're supposedly giving you a really good deal. Yeah. So if you already have the competition, you want to save a lot of money, check out DriveWise, DRIVEWYZE.com, and see how much money they can save you by switching over to them.
And you don't even have to have the equipment put in your truck.
Right. No transponders at all. Moving on, Ruth Ann.
Moving on.
Okay. So, gosh, I got a couple little things I want to talk to you about. Got an interesting story. There was a trucker that was recently killed on Interstate 10 in Tucson, Arizona. The truck driver had a dog with him. The dog survived the crash, but nobody knew this. And a guy found him in an RV park, alive and well. It's a beautiful story. It says, The truck driver killed in a crash on Interstate 10 in Tucson had a service dog with him at the time of the crash. The dog has since been found. The guy that found him, his name is Dave Sproul. He said the dog was really friendly. The dog came up to me in the dog park. He said the dog ran over to me. It had some cholo wrapped around it, which is like a cactus, some kind of cactus stuff. It said he got the cactus out of Riley's fur and decided to take the dog back to his home. They fed the dog, played with the dog, and then they started passing the dog's picture around the RV park. And then somebody said, that looks like the dog that was killed, or not the dog, but that looks like the trucker's dog that was killed on the interstate. The truck, by the way, had spilled nitric acid all over the place. So the dog not only survived the accident, the dog also survived the deadly chemicals that were pouring out of the truck. Wow. Isn't that something? Mm-hmm. It said, let's see, shortly after it got posted, some people responded saying that looks like Riley. The dog's name was Riley. Little did the Tucson community know that was on the lookout for the service dog after friends of the truck driver and his wife posted it on social media. So the wife was trying to find the dog also. How beautiful is that? Mm-hmm. She was like, hey, does this look like Riley? And we were comparing pictures, said Tanya Gutierrez, a volunteer for the Pima Animal Care Center. We were like, oh my gosh, I think it is. So anyways, they got a hold of each other. And the dog was, I guess, connected with the wife of the truck driver that killed. Let's see. It said, let me see here. I just wanted to read one thing here. We knew if we could find the dog, blah, blah, blah. Both, really bottom line with this story. And why am I bringing it up? Because there's a lot of truck drivers that have dogs.
Yeah.
And, I'm not here to tell people, hey, your dog's going to be killed. But a little fender bender. I mean, a little fender bender. Just a little one, like somebody cuts you off and you rear end them. Or maybe maybe you go around a turn too sharp. There's so many things that can happen. Dogs can become a projectile. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, especially if you have like a cat or a little, like one of those little yip dogs, those little, what are they?
Chihuahua.
Little chihuahua. Something like that. You hit something and stop. That dog's like a bullet. Boom. And seriously, statistics show that most animals do get killed in the accident. Mm-hmm. Because obviously they don't put a seatbelt on the dog.
Right. There's no protection for them that way.
And I'm not here to tell, personally, if you want your dog with you, go ahead, take your dog with you. It's a great,
we had our dog with us.
Yeah, well, when you were with, the dog was with. When I was by myself, I didn't take the dog because I didn't want...
Dog didn't want you, he wanted me.
And to me, that was a good thing. Should I tell the story once again about Johan?
No, we don't need to explain to Johan. No.
Yeah, you guys have heard this. It's been a couple of years since I told this story.
No, it's not.
It's been a while.
No, it's not.
What was that dog? What kind? Min Pin?
A Min Pin.
Oh my gosh, that dog.
They're very spiteful breed.
They're cocky.
A very spiteful breed.
They are cocky. We were at a shipper and it took a dump in the cab on the floor and Ruth Ann cleaned it. And we went to a place, I think it was Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, somewhere up in that area. And we were parked in a mall parking lot, and we decided to go into Long John Silver's. I remember it was Long John Silver's. We went in there to eat. And when we came back out, I said, Ruth Ann, that dog crapped in here again. She goes, no, it's just the smell from the last poop, right? I'm like, no way, that's too fresh of a smell. That thing is fresh. I'm like, she's there. I'm telling you, I cleaned it. And the dog didn't always go in the bathroom. He was actually not a bad dog.
No, over 2 years, he pooped twice in the
What was the dog's name?
Johan.
Johan what?
Sebastian Bach.
Yes.
Johan Sebastian Bach.
And that little crapper.
He was red. He was a red Min Pin.
Cocky. It's the redheads. They're so mean. It doesn't matter what breed you are. If you have red hair, you just got a mean streak in you. And I'm not kidding you. Somebody told me the other day that doing surgery on a redhead, you have to give them more anesthesia. For real. They're more stubborn to go out. It's the truth. Somebody told me. They said that's a real stat that people with redhead red hair have to have more anesthesia.
And who told you that?
Sam. He's smart.
He's not a know-it-all.
Ask him. He knows him.
He thinks he's a know-it-all.
So let's go back to the poop story for a second. So there he is. There's Johan. And he's just looking at us with them beady little eyes. He had beady eyes. And I'm like, Ruthann, that freaking dog pooped in here. I know he did. And so I start looking around. And I'm like, I don't know why. I'm looking at the bed. And I'm going, why? We didn't have the blankets pulled back like that. So I pulled the blanket up, and here the little son of a gun took a dump in the middle of our bed, and then he grabbed the freaking cover and covered it up. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at
that way.
I'm like, look at, how does that little dog poop that much in our bed yet? He was pissed off.
He was sick. Remember, we took him home.
Look, if you have pets in your truck, do not take a min pin with you. And
they are spiteful.
You will not, don't make it mad. If you take a min pin in your tractor trailer, you better kiss its ass, because that dog is going to... He was sick. He was a smart ass.
No, well, he was sick. Remember, we took him to the vet then, and he ended up being sick.
Yeah, but anyways,
the reason we got the min pin is because he met a trucker that had a min pin, and he thought it was awesome.
I was in Chicago, and that dude had his was called Harley. I'm like, I got to get one of them dogs because it was so fun to watch running. And then after we got it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this dog's a freaking maniac. So anyways, we ended up taking the mattress and everything and rolling it up, bungee strapping it to the catwalk just to get that out of the truck, because that was the most nasty smelling dump you can have inside your truck. Anyways, enough of the poop talk. Going back to the trucker that died in the accident. Drivers, if somehow, some way you can skewer your dog, I'd do it, because, and you know, it's got to be hard on the dog, you know, even if you put him on a leash in the truck to where, you know, in a harness at least, to where he can walk around. Yeah, exactly. Figure something out, because if he flies into that dash, I'm telling you, he's going to be dead. He's going to be dead. Most of the times they die. I'm really glad that Riley lived.
If you put a leash on them, you could chance breaking their neck, though, wouldn't you think?
No, I said a harness. If I said a leash, I mean a harness.
Okay, yeah, because you want to have it around their chest and stuff. But they do have seatbelt like setups that you could put. You know, if the dog rides in this, you know, if he sits on the seat or lays in the seat, you can have certain setups for animals. You
know, Sean, our buddy Sean, he has the one-eyed pit bull, Bonnie. And he's probably listening going, Bonnie's never going to get, she'll eat that leash or the harness. Yeah. So, but anyways, you know, I just thought I'd mention this. It's kind of a cool story. I'm not really going anywhere with it, because I'm not going to tell people that they have to batten down their dogs, you know.
Well, we wouldn't.
Hey, I'm going to tell you something. Just almost on the same subject. I've had over the years truck drivers tell me they're looking for a company that they can go to that allows them to take their wife and like maybe a baby or two with them, because they want their whole family on the road. And I'm here to tell you guys, 99% of every trucking company out there is never going to let you do that. There's just not. I mean, and to be honest with you, a kid in a car, because you have to have a child in a car seat up to a certain either age or height or weight, depending on where you're at. Mm-hmm. And if you're running 10 hours, you're torturing your baby. To me,
it's unhealthy for them. The statistics also prove that a child that sits in, because a lot of parents would take those car carriers, and they also have those seats that are like a carrier, but they let their baby sit in that, and it actually affects their spine and their hips. Yeah. So you don't want to sit in them. They say you only let them sit in them for so long, but as soon as you are done driving, you're supposed to take them right out because of that.
I actually think I heard that before, that the car seats are really bad. So if you're a trucker, I'm sure the law applies for you in that truck, that baby has to be in a car seat. Mm-hmm.
So, and strapped down. And
at 10 hours, if my grandfather would have done that to me, because I was 2 years old going when I was footloose and fancy free, man. I was bouncing around in that bunk. I didn't have no. I mean, yeah, of course, I would have been a projectile like the dog if he would have wrecked.
He might have been working on that.
Yeah, this is funny. But no, I would just tell you guys, and what I was trying to compare it to is, imagine if you're torturing a baby in a car seat. Imagine strapping your dog down for 10 hours also. It's just not healthy mentally for any piece of life, except maybe a plant.
Right.
So anyways, Ruth Ann, moving on. Oh, by the way, at the truck show, I met a guy that said, I really like when you guys say moving on. That way we know this. We know when the thingy's changing. Because remember that one guy went up to us and he went, moving on.
It was funny. That because, it started when Troy wanted me to shut up and move on to the next subject because I would just be babbling. And then I would just change subjects and he'd be, oh, so we're changing subjects now. So that's why he created the moving on.
Oh, did I create it? Excuse me. So, interesting story I read. And I'm going to tell you something. This is a really good wake-up call and a warning to truckers that drive tired. Seriously. Like we've talked about all kind of impairments on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to this story. Dump truck driver. So this is, and when I say dump truck, this is a tractor trailer and what you call an end dump. Dump truck driver faces over 7 years in prison for fatal 2019. Are you ready for this? Drowsy driving crash. So here's a guy that was tired driving. He's getting sentenced, I think, next week.
Wow.
And he's facing most likely 7 years. He's going to be going away to prison.
Mm-hmm.
Not because he was drunk. Not because he was road rage driving. Not because he was following too close and acting like a jackass purposely. But because he was tired and he should have been responsible. This is really what this is saying to us.
Mm-hmm.
He should have been responsible and got himself off the road. And drivers, this is why I always tell you guys, you are the captain of that ship. And I don't care if, and some trucking companies will tell you that you're the captain of the ship, but then they'll try to bully you into driving over on your hours.
Yeah, it's true.
They are not, you will never get, and I'm going to tell you something now. I don't know if this guy's dispatcher told him that, drive or turn your keys in, we'll find somebody else. You'd never know what the case is there. Was he pushed to drive that way?
You said he was a dump truck?
Well, yeah, it's a sleeper. There's plenty of end dump jobs where you're not home every day. And even if you do come in tired and it's a day cab and you're too tired to drive, you should say, I am not driving this truck whether I get fired or not, because if I fall asleep, I'm screwed. And this is a perfect example of, if you're the captain of the ship, do not drive if you feel it's unsafe. I tell you, everybody this, if it's unsafe, and I mean unsafe because you're tired, or maybe you were out to dinner with your wife before you got in your truck and you had a couple beers and you're a little tipsy, don't do it. If you know the road's too slick, don't do it. If for any reason you feel unsafe, don't do it, because here's a perfect example. Now, do you think this guy actually thought that someday he could get in a lot of trouble for a drowsy driving accident?
No, he probably didn't think it. That's why he kept driving. I mean, most people don't realize they're as tired as they are until they get behind the wheel. And then at that point, it's too late unless they're humble enough to say, I'm going to pull over because I can't focus. I mean, I've done that.
And Ruth, not only humble enough, but brave enough to stand up to your company and say, listen, guys, I'm sorry. I'm tired. I literally am not going to take a chance. First off, I wouldn't want somebody's death on my hands.
No.
I'm going to read the article in a second. I wouldn't want somebody's death on my hands. But here's the question I would ask you, because you're the only one here. Do you believe that if his dispatcher or any dispatcher that pushes somebody, driver, manager, dispatcher, what do you want to call them, that bullies a driver into going tired or pushes him or tries to convince him. Bullying doesn't just mean threatening. It could also just be trying to, pump him up to drive. Come on, you can do it. You can do it, driver. Listen, man, I'm really sorry. Just a couple 100 miles and I'll go ahead and put you in for a couple extra hours of sleep. We really got to get that load there. You can do it. You can, bullying is in more than way, it comes in more forms than just, hey, do it or you're out of a job. Do it or we'll ruin we'll give you a bad reference or blah, blah, blah. Do it. That's not only the way bullying works. You understand that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so do you believe that if his dispatcher, had a part in this, do you believe any dispatcher would say, you know what, I think I'm going to show up in court and tell the judge it was me. I convinced him. I talked him into running tired. I'm the one that really did it. Don't punish him, punish me. You think any dispatcher's ever going to do that?
No.
Absolutely not. You are on your own the second you get into a wreck because you were tired or driving over in your hours, running illegal. And that's the other thing they'll do. They'll try to get you to run over on your hours. Anybody that does that, you should know this, that you are now responsible for 80,000 pounds in an unsafe operation. And I don't care how many times you did it. It only takes that one time for you to just nod off for a second and kill somebody, and you're facing sentencing.
It doesn't even matter the distance. If you're tired and because that's what happened to me, get in the vehicle and I only go a few miles down the interstate. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm more tired than I thought I was. I'm going to have to take a nap because I'm not going to be able to go far. And I have the opportunity now to pull over. But the other thing is if you're tired and you're afraid of retribution from your company, make notes of it. Make notes of it. Say, I told him I'm tired here.
That's a good idea.
Make notes.
Start making notes.
In court of law, when you make notes of stuff,
keep track.
That is what holds up in court. You could take a video of your conversation with him.
A lot of guys will take a snapshot of the Qualcomm or something, or
do something, prove that you're doing this, and then that way, if you end up getting fired for not doing it, say, I told him I was tired. To me, it was more beneficial to the company and to myself and our tractor and our freight to say, I'm going to take a nap for about, 2 hours just to refresh or whatever. You know your body, you know how much you needed. But if it ever came with that, then you need to protect not just yourself, but everybody around you, because that's your first priority as a professional driver, is to protect the people around you from you.
Yeah, I like that, Ruth Ann. Basically create a paper trail. Like Ruth Ann's saying, if you have a dispatcher that's constantly telling you to run over on your hours, or like I said, in a nice way, trying to pump you up and convince you, can you do me a favor, blah, 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 start documenting it and keep it in a good place. Like Ruth Ann said, take screenshots, take pictures, and believe it or not, you guys can get recorders for your phone. For your iPhone, for your Android, there's little apps you can download, and you can record every damn phone call that that's coming in. And then, like Ruth Ann said, maybe this guy would have. I'm not saying that his dispatcher was in any ways wrong. We don't know that, but we're just speculating that if there was dispatch involved, and many times they are involved in a driver being tired. Okay. Documenting it could definitely pull a lot of weight to saving your ass someday, instead of having the entire blame put on your head. Right.
You document that you're telling them, I'm tired, I'm standing up to this, I'm not going to do this. You're documenting that. Because if you end up saying you're tired and you don't want to do it, and then they force you to do it and you still do it, you're still going to be liable for it. The telling them that you're not going to drive and documenting it is stating that that's protection of your job. If someone wants to fire you because of it, you could say, I told him I was tired. I couldn't drive to, give me 2 hours to park the truck, take a nap, and then I'd be back on my way. Any way of that,
Even some dispatchers may say, listen, there's $100 extra in it for you if you get it there on time. I know you're out of hours. You just got 2 more hours to go. It's 4:00 in the morning. See if you can make it. We really appreciate it. Like I said, there's a couple extra bucks in there for you. That's a form of bullying too. Any way they do it to get you to do something either illegal or against your judgment as a professional driver, judging that that's unsafe, that's a form of bullying. I'm just telling you guys this. You may not look at it that way, but it really is. There's ways you can bully somebody without threatening them. Sometimes you could be real nice. It's a psychological game people play with you. Don't put up with it.
It's not the tone of what they're saying. It's the words. They could say, and this is what I've always said to the kids, especially our girls. If a guy says he loves you, he could say, I love you. And he could be the nicest guy in the world saying it. But if he says it in the tone that's not nice, the words can still come across being wrong.
Yeah, I love you, take off your clothes does not mean I love you. You know what I mean? That's what we keep telling people, in church and everywhere. It's like a 15-year-old kid, when he says I love you is really to get you to do something. And it's the same with, as a dispatcher, trying to convince you in a different way other than a threat.
Well,
Trust
like
me.
you
Watch
said,
out for all of it.
It's a mind game. They could say, we really need you to take this freight. We really need you to take this freight. They could be saying it in a pleading way, but their words, they could say, we really need you to take this freight. I would really hate to see you get fired because you didn't make it.
Yeah.
That's bullying.
Or, there's a load waiting there, and if you don't make it there, then you're going to lose that load. I mean, there's all kind of ways.
It's a mind game.
To kind of convince you. So
it's
just
all a mind game.
Keep your eye out for that, drivers.
Protect yourself.
Protect yourself, Ruth Ann. That's a great whatchamacallit. So, anyways, let's move on.
Moving on.
I want to talk about, we got an interesting, TalkCDL gets a lot of email and a lot of messages through social media. And this week we got a message from a director.
Yeah, a photographer.
It's believe it or not, I'm going to see. Do you want to read it, Ruth? And you have it right there in front of you.
Yeah, I got to bring it up.
And listen, drivers, if you're going to be available for a casting call, which is cool. They're wanting to do, I don't know if it's a movie, a document. I think it's a documentary.
Okay. I'm going to read the email.
Go ahead and read it.
That I got.
And you know what? I never read the article that I wanted to read.
Okay, well, I'm going to read the...
Did you hear what I just said on that last?
I didn't get to read the article that I wanted to read.
No, I hate to...
The Drowsy Driver.
I hate to go back to moving on. We moved on, but I'm going, wait a second. Can we move back for a second? I never got to read the...
Reverse.
Yeah, I mean, I just...
Beep, beep, beep.
Well, it's sad because I never mentioned that the guy rear-ended a car and he killed 2 people in their 50s and their son was driving and he... survived. So, and it said he's, basically he's facing sentencing this coming week. And I guess there's no sense in going back to that.
You mentioned it.
Yeah, I don't want to confuse people. Everybody's going, man, that really sounds stupid.
He's just really saying Troy's really actually had a really bad week this week. So let's just go ahead and give him some
ADHD. Anyways, so moving on again.
Okay, so this lady Elizabeth sent me a message. Now, my name is Ruth Ann. She did call me by half my name, but
what'd she call you, Ruth?
Oh, I hate Ruth.
They call her Ruth.
I hate Ruth. I'm sorry. Ruth is my aunt. Aunt Ruth.
Which you loved your aunt.
I did.
But you didn't like her name, Ruth.
No, because my Aunt Ruth was like, if her name wasn't Ruth, you'd think it'd be Hilda. I mean, she was stern until you got to know her. And then you're like, oh, okay, she's not bad. But she was one of those women that came across like really stern.
Yeah.
And she had one of those moles like right here. And you're like, but I loved my family.
I cast a spell on you.
I did. I loved Aunt Ruth and she was a great
but you're Ruth Ann.
I'm Ruth Ann.
She's Ruth Ann. RUTHANN. No E at the end.
No E, one word. So anyways, she says, hello, Ruth. I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Elizabeth, and I found your podcast and Facebook. I'm reaching out because I'm helping produce a project for the photographer George Etheridge. He has photographed feature stories in Truck Drivers for NYT, as well as many other stories across the country out of various other outlets. We are working on a new advertising campaign for a known insurance brand that has a commercial truck insurance division. George has been hired by the advertising agency to photograph this campaign. These ads will appear in truck industry trade publications, travel centers, some OOH boards. We are capturing a day in the life of truckers who independently own and operate their own trucks in various industries. Here's the industries they're looking for. The livestock AG hauler, sand gravel trucks with a side support beams, logging, and long haul with no tandems. And then she said, I was wondering if you'd be potentially interested in participating.
Did you say long haul with no tandem?
Yeah, I haven't figured it out, but I just repeated what she said. I don't know what no tandem.
Listen, they probably meant, of course, it's going to be tandems on the. I would not even, if I was you guys out there going, well, I'm a long hauler and every truck has a tandem on the back.
Yeah, I'm just reading what they said.
So bottom line is, I would not pay attention to that part. Still get a hold of this director. We're going to give you the email here in a second. Go ahead,
we'll give the email, and if for some reason, just shoot me an email. I'll pass it on to her. Yeah. If you would like, if you are something that's interested, if you have they didn't say what areas you have to be from. It just basically stated the type of trailers that they're looking for in this type of division.
Did it give you the times? Because it gave me that in
no.
Here, let me just add to what Ruth Ann just read to you, because they sent me the guy George, the one that's actually doing the filming, actually sent me a direct message from him.
I only got the producer. You got the photographer.
You got his assistant. But anyways, he said. All right. What he said was this. He said it's going to be, you have to be available for a 1-day photography shoot between March 15th and March 31st. He said, let me see here. We are looking for owner-operators, drivers participating in the advertising campaign. Let me see here. Okay, so there is no mention of where. I don't know why I was thinking they were going to be in the New York area for some reason. Could be wrong if they're going to be over there or where you're going to meet up with them. But anyways, like Ruth Ann said, did you give them the email, Ruth Ann?
No.
Okay, go give them the email that these owner-operators...
I have my email that she gave me, that she sent it from.
No, okay, well, he gave the email to contact them. Okay. It's casting at esto.com. Do you have that one?
That's the email that Elizabeth sent it from.
Yeah, so casting at esto.com, casting at E as in Edward, S as in Sam, T as in Tom, O as in Oscar.com. Go ahead and email these people if you're interested in having your truck and yourself. And it's funny, all those owner-operators, I'm going to shoot them a message that we met down in Fort Lauderdale and let them know, because I don't think it matters what truck you have, because he said log haulers too.
Yeah, it said livestock or AG hauler, so any type of ag.
And he also said the long haulers.
Yeah, long haul logging, sand and gravel trucks with side support beams.
So long haul, which log trucks or long haul everything? I would, you know what?
She wasn't very thorough in the description, so I'm not really sure I can respond to this and ask.
No, you know what? Just let the truck drivers get a hold of it and see if it works for them. Because first off, most people that are not in trucking don't understand trucking a lot of times, so they're just trying to...
Reach out to Elizabeth or George at casting@esto.com.
Right.
Tell them that you want more information, that TalkCDL read their emails, and you want to know more about it.
Yeah, that's a great idea, because I have a feeling that, truckers, but it specifically does say owner-operators.
Yes, owner-operators who independently own and operate their trucks, mainly because it will make it easier for them to go back and forth and are not underneath certain restrictions as a company driver would be.
Well, yeah, because they've got to probably get signed off on to be in magazines, and if it's a trucking company. So and if you're a small company and want to get a hold of them because you own and operate your company, you can do it too.
Yeah, especially if you have a few trucks, that will be something good.
And look, we don't we're just giving these people a free plug because it's for the truckers. That's what we're all about as truckers. And if some of these guys can get on, get in a magazine and get their truck.
If you do, let me know.
Get yourself. Yeah, exactly. If you can get yourself put in a truck stop, you know what I mean?
We're redoing the studio. I mean, that's why it's kind of like a little crowded and overdone here. We're redoing it. So we'd be really cool to get like the picture of you in your truck. And
yeah, if you do get anything, send us your pictures from the magazine or the article, because what we're doing, and we're in the midst of setting up a screen behind us with a projector, and then all this stuff you see now will be gone here in the near future.
Yeah, but it'll still be on shelves. Our little friends sending us stuff.
Right.
Anyways, moving on.
I think we're going to move on, Ruth Ann.
Good.
Go ahead.
Okay. Moving on.
I think you already said that.
Well, I didn't know if you were going to say something.
No, go ahead. It's all you.
It's all me. The FMCSA proposes a long overdue CSA carrier safety measurement system revamp.
You going to read that to us?
I am. The main reason I am is because there's some really important information in here that you need to know as a driver on what they're planning to do with your CSA and the violations. So because it's been so long, it's been almost a decade since they've changed some of the regulations.
Yeah, it started in January of 2010, CSA 2010. So it's been 13 years.
So what they want to do is they want to change the way some of the regulations are under. So they're splitting, instead of having one be underneath maintenance, they're now splitting the categories. So they're doing a little bit more. One of the things that they're looking at doing.
You were telling me that one. I was like a little surprised at it all being in the same category, but go ahead, read it.
The FMCSA is moving the controlled substances alcohol and operating while out of service violations into the unsafe driving category. So
what that just said was, you truck drivers because a lot of truck drivers, they get an out of service, they get tagged, whatever.
Where they operate, where they're still driving it, even though they got the OOS.
Right. And they go down the road thinking, okay, that's the only scale, blah, 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 whatever. Right. And now if you get caught doing that, now you're going to be titled unsafe driver in the CSA report. And I'm going to tell you something. If the CSA titles you unsafe driver, you might as well get a DUI and fail a drug screen all in the same damn day and put that on your CDL with it, because you're pretty screwed. So if you've thought and I'm sure people have gotten away with it if they wouldn't be doing it, driving after they've been tagged out of service, I would tell you right now, no matter what, and it could go back to the bullying thing, dispatcher saying, yeah, just go. They're not, they're not going to know. They already changed shifts, and the guy in there doesn't know, that you're out of service. Just go ahead, go. They're not watching. Boom. And a lot of these guys do. They think, okay, I got to get down the road, even though I'm out of service for 24 hours. And you do decide to take off earlier than you should have, and they catch you. You will be screwed. I'm just saying, don't do it. Don't do it. It ain't worth your CDL.
It's not worth it, because
treat your CDL like it's a college degree, please.
Yeah, I'm going to read one or two more of these paragraphs, only because there's a lot here, and I'm getting this off of Overdrive Online, by the way, just in case you want to go over to see what the FMCSA is wanting to do with the CAA. Just go over to Overdrive.
The CSA. Sorry, I said CAA. I'm like, CA.
Oop, my bad. So, as part of the changes, they're proposing to reorganize the current behavior analysis and safety program, which is, they call it BASICS, which would be renamed safety categories to better identify specific problems. To achieve this, the FMCSA proposes to combine the current 959 violations used in SMS plus 14 additional violations not currently used in SMS into 116 new violation groups. They're really splitting them up.
Wow.
And the main reason they're doing this especially with the controlled substance in the OOS, is because they're helping focus on investigations on carriers with the higher crash rates. So because of carriers that maybe have more crash rates or more of OOSs, they're trying to narrow it down to why this is happening and to try and get more control over it. And the other one that they're doing with is the new driver observed category will be reserved for roadside observed violations that could be reasonably be observed by a driver during a pre-op or post-op trip inspection. So if you did your walk around and didn't do certain things, they're now going to put that because you could clearly see something, you know,
correct,
mud flaps. I don't know what some of them are now, because you can clearly see it in a pre or post trip or lights. They're now going to put that underneath a driver observed category and have that underneath it. So be very careful. There is, like I said, a ton of different new categories that they're doing. So just be careful and don't fall underneath getting your CSA.
That's an interesting article, Ruth Ann. Like you said, it's a pretty big article, and we're at the end of the podcast here. So drivers, if you want to know what the new proposals are going to be for the new CSA, head over to, who did you get it off of? Overdrive?
Overdrive Online.
Overdriveonline.com, and check them out and read the story intact. Moving on, Ruth Ann. That's the podcast for the week, unless you have something else.
I have one more thing.
What do you got?
I'm not going to read all of it.
Go ahead.
But it is a bill that the senator in Republican Senator Jim Tomes from Wadesville, Indiana, put in Indiana itself to have a higher speed limit for trucks to be put into it. So, anyways, he's projecting that you can move it up 70 to 70 miles per hour on the interstates and urban areas of Indiana.
So 70 mile an hour. It's interesting that the FMCSA is wanting to drop tractor trailers down to a nationwide speed of 65 miles an hour, and our friends in Indiana are like trying to jack it up.
Actually,
I like that.
It advanced. It's advanced to the full Senate on Tuesday, and they, despite the opposition of the state, it with the state group, I forgot what the name of it is, like IMTA or something like that, is for truckers. The actual Senate itself has agreed to move the speed limit, so it's something that's going through right now. So.
All right. Well, that is now the podcast, Ruth Ann, for the week. You got the word of the day?
I do.
Let's hear it.
You know, that worked earlier.
Notabilia.
There it is.
What's it called?
Notabilia.
Notabilia?
Notabilia.
I think I heard that word before.
Notabilia.
What does notabilia mean?
It means things worthy of notice.
Things worthy of notice.
This is a notabilia.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, remember that word last week? Stofferknockelvis or whatever it was? It meant bad politicians. Anyways, Ruth Ann, we're out of here.
Peace.
Peace. Praise the Lord.